My name is John Donnelly. Most of you know me, but if you don't, I work here at Service First Mortgage, run sales. Thanks for being on here today. Kyle and I have been working on an event coming up in January called the Big Event. Kyle's going to be our MC.
Yeah.
And, we're really excited about this event. In fact, I just put the link into the chat for those of you interested in learning more. And so we got to talking about, the event, what's going to happen at that day. And, we talked about his book a little bit in social media. And this webinar came about. We're like, let's do a webinar and talk about this book a little bit. And so I read your book, Kyle, I don't know, a couple months ago. And, I do a lot of social media posts, and it just reminded me and helped me think about things just a little bit different. I loved it. And I thought it was cool. So I bought a bunch of them, right? I started sending them to friends, and we've been going through that. So when you offered to go deeper into the book, I'm like, this is great. I think that people are going to get value from this today.
Thanks, man.
So I appreciate that. But before we got to go into that, I just want to talk for a second about the big event. What the big event is like the place to be to launch 2024. Like if you want to get motivated, get some ideas on how to start your year right, how to play big in 2024, you want to be at this event. And so Kyle's going to be our MC.
Yep.
We've got a couple of speakers there. Kate Resbeck from Keeping Current Matters is going to talk about market trends and updates. Baylor Barbie is going to be there. He's got 7 books out, 3 in the works. This guy is
Dude,
amazing,
a workhorse, man.
speaker. Yeah, he's a stud. He's going to be there to like really get our mindset right. And then kind of the big chunk of the day is with Chelsea Pites. Chelsea is going to spend 3 hours going in deep into social media. And we hope, cross our fingers, at some point we're going to be able to say your ticket includes 3 hours of CE credit also.
Yes.
So we're waiting on the state to approve that. It's kind of sitting in the background, but that's going to be a bonus kind of add on here soon.
And can I say something about Chelsea Pites?
Yeah, please.
John, I'm a social media expert. She is my favorite social media expert.
Oh, I love it.
Like she's unbelievable. I've never seen her and she didn't exceed the already high expectations that I had. And so typically people get to see her in like a 30-minute, 45-minute keynote at a big Inman event or NAR. And so for y'all to have her for 3 hours, it's going to change your lives. It is going to impact your business in such a significant way. And she's not from here, right? So usually you've got to go to Vegas or New York or Nashville. We've got her in North Texas at the big event. And so Baylor's incredible, Keeping Current Matters, like everything's going to be unbelievable. But 3 hours of Chelsea Pites is worth 10 times what you're going to charge people to come.
That's great.
So they need to be there.
Speaking of the fee, we're extending the early bird discount through tomorrow. So if you click the link, we left it up there to get a discounted ticket. So you guys can get there.
And so what's the discounted ticket cost?
It only costs, it depends on which one. $69 gets you in the door.
Just guys, buy $3, buy $5, like just buy some and give them to your people.
That's right.
Right? When this event changes their life, John, they're going to be grateful for the friend that invited them to come. Yep. So this is such a cheap referral opportunity to solidify relationships with people that will give you business forever. And so, man, I can't wait.
Yep.
To be a part of this with you guys.
It's gonna be great. I appreciate it. Well, let's not. You guys know about it. If you have questions about it, let me know. Let's get into the meat of this thing today. So we give you guys some value. Hang on one second. They're like, where's the link? Here's the link. It's thebigevent2024.com. Thebigevent2024.com is the link.
That's a good URL. I'm surprised that was available.
Hey, it's been great. The name is great. Baylor Barbie's out doing he's like, in order to win in 2024, you got to take big action. Yeah. You got to come to the big event is one thing, but he's out jumping out of airplanes, sumo wrestling. He's going after he's getting in monster trucks and driving. He's got all these videos planned, and it's all to promote the big event and his talk. He's got a podcast called Shark Theory where he's like documenting and talking about this.
I
So
love
he's
it.
one of our speakers. Like it's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be huge, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. So anyway, so now that we got you pinned down here for an hour, you got your book out. A lot of people know about it. I want to, like let you kind of kick off and start running.
Let's go. I'm super pumped to be here, guys. I'm gonna share the screen so we can see some slides and be intentional with our time today. I don't know how many of you have read the book. If you have, thank you. If you haven't, that's okay. But you have the opportunity to go get it. And so this book is an accident, I guess is the best way to say it. I had no desire to be an author. I didn't need it for my ego. I was literally laying in bed one night at 2 a.m. in Cancun with my wife on vacation. And the Lord woke me up and said, go sit on the back porch and start writing a book. And I was like, oh, okay. And this is the outcome of that. And so rethink everything you know about social media. Guys, I know there's a lot of people saying things like this, but there has never been a more valuable time than right now to start valuing this stuff, because as you know, the market is tough. Everybody is either struggling or having to work twice as hard to stay where they were before. And so everybody is exhausted, and this is where we have the chance to win. Why? Because you already have enough people in your life to be doing better than you are in business. You just have no idea how to stay top of mind for them. And so what we have to understand as we jump into this, and also what y'all are going to see on the slides, there's a code that's going to take you to a landing page so that if you want to be more connected to what I'm doing and be a part of what we're doing, get my emails that I send out every other day. That'll help you sign up for that. But guys, social proof. We live in a world now, John, where if you just say, guys, if you don't know Kyle Draper, he's unbelievable. If I say, if you don't know John Donnelly, he's unbelievable. And sadly now, we are victim or victor based on what people see on the internet. Because it is too easy to grab our phones, type in John Donnelly, and now your entire reputation is based on what I see on Google. And so if I show up to your LinkedIn page and you created it 7 years ago and you never really focused on it and you don't have a cover image and it still says you're a school teacher and you think, well, it doesn't matter because I don't use it, it's still on the internet for people to see. And so for most of you on here, my fear for you is that you're really good at your job. You're a great loan officer. You're a great realtor. I think we even have some other people on. So whatever your profession is, you're good at your job. But if the internet makes it look like you suck, the perception is that you suck. Mm-hmm. And this isn't fair, right? You don't deserve this. It's not fair that you worked your butt off for years to be really good at what you do. And now all of a sudden the internet can take that away from you. But it doesn't change the fact that it's true. And so the first thing that we've got to understand as we rethink social media is we've got to pull away the business mindset that we've adopted for social media. Social media, guys, it shouldn't be a place where you look to get leads anymore. It should be a place where you nurture relationships. It should be a place where you add value, where you show up as the expert through education, not through bragging about your successes. So that when people show up there, they go, man, I like this girl. I like this guy. Man, he's wearing a Rangers hat. I love the Rangers. Right? Like, we have all these opportunities to connect with people, but we've got to humanize ourselves in order to do it. And so we've got to understand what social proof is. And as we kind of dive into this, we also have to understand the power of this quote. A person cannot rise above how they see themselves. Here's what's interesting about this quote is quotes are great. But quotes become very real when we understand the person that said them. Dr. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon 40, 50, 60 years ago. And he watched people for 3 decades come into his office with a desire to have this tucked, this lifted, this sucked out, right? Why? In an attempt for that man or woman to feel better about themselves. And what he came to the conclusion of over 3 decades was that no amount of plastic surgery would change the way people see themselves. And so what does this mean for us? We've got to dig deep. And so if you don't see value in yourself deep down inside, how in the world are you going to ever give value to other people? Because we cannot give what we do not have. And so you've got to take a look in the mirror and you've got to come to terms with, where is my self-talk really negative? Where am I beating myself up? Where am I not giving myself grace, not extending myself forgiveness? Because this is keeping you from showing up in a powerful way on social media. And so we've got to rise above it. And this dilemma has really come to the surface in one of my favorite books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I'm sure many of you have read. And Stephen Covey talks about in this book what he calls the character ethic. And this was very simple, guys. This was people valuing personal development. And so people understood pre-1920 that if I get better, everything around me gets better. If I get better, I become a better spouse. As I get better, I become a better dad. As I get better, I become a better business owner. And so those of you that are into personal development in a real way, you understand this. But something happened that Covey says and calls the personality ethic. And this, John, is where the cold-blooded salespeople showed up, in my opinion. And they thought, wait a second, getting better is hard. Identifying my blind spots is tough. Admitting my weakness and insecurity is a struggle. And so what if I just mask myself and become what everyone needs me to be? And this, guys, now is the world we live in. And so this is why you can meet with 6 different people in any given day, and you've got a group of people you cuss a lot with. You got a group of people you don't cuss around. You got a group of people you drink too much with. You've got a group of people you don't drink with. You've got a group of people you might talk about spiritual things with, and then you've got a group of people that y'all have never talked about anything other than sports. And we have compartmentalized our lives, and this is why, for many of you, you can show up to church hungover, and your church friends don't know how hungover you are, and your drunk friends don't know you go to church. Because we've masked our lives to become a chameleon and serve people based on what they need. And so, what is the problem with this? The problem is you don't know which version of yourself to be on social media. Because if I've nailed you with the dilemma from 7 Habits, if that's you, in this moment, you're already subconsciously saying, like, which version of me am I supposed to be? And this is why most of us struggle with social media, is because we don't know. And so here's my kind of litmus test for you guys. If you cuss in real life, you should cuss on your videos. This is my litmus test. And if you're a person that goes, oh, no, then why do you even cuss in real life? If it's not appropriate in one's place, but it is appropriate in another, why would you want to live your life that way? Be you. Be you. Because I'm not a cusser, but I know most of my friends are. And so when my friend sees a video with a cuss word in it, instantly they're like, oh, okay, good. They're like me. Right? Like, be yourself. Nobody's asking you to be different. John and I spent 5 minutes talking about the Rangers before we started. Some of you could not care less.
That's right.
And that's okay. We're not asking you to become a Rangers fan, although this is a great time to become a bandwagon one on
Yeah.
the, you know, on the hours
100%.
after our world championship. But be yourself. The moment you give yourself permission to be who you truly are is the same moment that social media gets a lot easier. And so, as we jump into this, where we have to start is with a very painful truth. Video is hard. What John is doing at a very high level, what Stephanie is doing at a very high level, and I'm sure there's others that I just don't know as well, like putting yourself in front of the camera is unbelievably painful, but it is even more powerful. It's more powerful, guys, because right now, this is video, right? You're seeing me through video. Your brain is still connecting to me, even though we're not physically in a room together. And so then when you go to my social media and you start watching some of my videos, you will continue to connect to me. And that's the power of what we're doing. And so here's what I hope to kind of change your mindset around about. If video were easy, everyone would be doing it, and it would no longer be an advantage. And so what I'm learning in my life, I'll be 41 this month. And so what I'm learning in my almost, I'm about to turn Dirk Nowitzki, John. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Good number. That's a good
It's going to
number.
be my best year ever.
That's right.
And so what I am learning about life is every time I say, I wish it were easier, I'm missing an opportunity to get better. Because if I would just choose to get better, things get less hard. And now I'm appreciating the things that are hard, because if I'm willing to do them well, I get an advantage over most other people. And so stop being the realtor, the lender, whatever you do for a living. Stop saying, oh, I just wish it were a little easier. If it were a little bit easier, I would do it. But so would everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where your advantage is at. Guys, in January, at the big event, you're going to get punched in the mouth by Chelsea Pites about doing reels and being on video in your stories. And so start getting comfortable now so that you'll actually do what she says in January. Because otherwise, you're going to stay uncomfortable. You're not going to do what she says in January. And then maybe by April, you'll be willing to do it. And so let's fight the discomfort right this second. Let's understand the difficulty ahead. And let's realize that this is where we win when the market is struggling. This is where we win amidst uncertainty, because people are looking for answers. People are looking for truth. People are looking for somebody to tell them it's going to get better. And who better than you to be in front of the camera, loving and serving people in that capacity? It's powerful. And here's what I want us to think about. The reason this is so hard is that I believe that video is the hardest thing we'll ever do on social media, because it is the most truth-telling mirror we will ever look into. Guys, every time I try to do video, my spirit reminds me about when I yelled at my daughter the other day, or when I disappointed my wife, or when sales are down in my business. And so my brain is saying, bro, you are such a fraud, man. What are you doing? Showing up on camera as this positive guy, trying to teach, trying to equip. And this is why we avoid it, because it's hard. But I can tell you right now, it's worth it. And anybody that's invested in it will tell you the same thing. It's hard, but it's worth it. I've never met a person that committed themselves to video that said they regret it. I've never met that person, because it's powerful and it works. But something else that we've got to rethink about social media, guys, is we have to decide, do we really want to help others win? Do we really want to help others win? In our industries, right, the mortgage space, the real estate space, like, they're highly competitive. And what I have found is the people at the top work together, and the people at the bottom hate everybody else.
Yep.
There's less competitive spirit as you get towards the top. People truly want to help. And so if you will decide that, you know what I want to do with social media, I just want to help others win. Content gets so much easier. Quit having an ulterior motive for the video that you're doing, for the post that you're creating. Just show up with a desire to help others win. And I love what Zig Ziglar says. We've all seen this quote before. You can have everything in life that you want if you just give enough other people what they want. Go help people. Go help people. I have several buddies, John is one of them, that they are using my book as value add to other people. And one of my buddies specifically, he's a part owner in a big CRM company. And he's doing this to benefit himself ultimately. But all he's done in the process is connect me to really influential people across the mortgage world that had no clue who I was before he put my book in their hand. And he's telling me stories of people becoming clients and people getting in front of people. And I just get to ride these coattails of his success. And it's unbelievable. Life is so much more enjoyable when we help others win. And so we've got to change the mindset here. And as we're doing this, the one thing we have to ask ourselves is, are we trustworthy? You have to be trustworthy. And it's easy for you to go, oh yeah, man. If you and I are at coffee, you're going to trust me for sure. But what if you never get the chance to get to coffee? What if that opportunity isn't there for you? Because they went online, they looked at your content, and all of your posts were me, my. My closing, my house, my listing, my vacation, my new car, my kids getting dropped off at private school. And all of a sudden people start to go, ugh, why does John like this guy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, maybe and the moment that indecision shows up, guys, we can't win. In moments of indecision, we don't win. And so the question that I want to pose on you is, does what I'm about to post cause someone to trust me more or less? That's the only question I ask myself when I post. So on Halloween, I made a video about candy corn. I didn't go, what's up, guys? It's your favorite social media expert. I got a question for you. I didn't try to like flip it to be about my business. I just did a video about candy corn. And it has created, across all of the platforms, hundreds of comments and DMs for me to communicate with people. And John, this is what you and I were talking about before we hit record, right? That none of this matters if we don't know how to follow up.
Yes.
Because if I teach you how to get 50 comments on a video, but then you never go back and respond to any of those people, what's the point of having 50 comments in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got to follow up. We've got to do a good job of this. And this doesn't happen if people don't trust us. Guys, I got to tell you, the other day, and if I said this person's name, everyone would know them. They called me out of the blue because they just needed prayer. And they said the question they asked themselves was, who do I know that I, one, trust enough to say this to, and trust that they're not going to go say it to other people, but then two, that would just pray for me. And isn't it crazy that the person they chose wasn't their pastor? It wasn't their small group leader from church. It was a freaking social media expert named Kyle Draper that used to be a pastor. And because I live my life inside of the truth of who I am, she was able to say, that's the guy. Guys, it's unbelievable. Now, Have I ever made money from this person? No. Will I ever make money from this person? I don't know.
Right.
But I get to have influence in people's lives because of my ability to be trusted. And so this is so much bigger than social media. We have the ability to make impact in people's lives. And I choose to believe that it will absolutely impact the bottom dollar. And it will create and cultivate and nourish relationships that will help my business grow. But that has to be secondary to being trustworthy of people. And this is a game changer. And so, are you trustworthy? Does what I'm about to post cause someone to trust me more or less? It's the only question you need to ask when you're about to hit post. Also, guys, I want you to consider doing daily video. Now, before you guys get off the webinar and send your ticket back for the big event because you're like, this guy, I'm not even doing a video a week. You're now going to tell me to do a video every day? Be patient, okay? Calm down. Let me unpack this for you. So let's help people understand something, John, that if you are an old school mortgage person, real estate person, you're probably on the phone a lot, right? Like, because that's how we believe that we nurture relationships the best. Like, just call them. Stop texting them, call them. Like, that's what a more old school person would say. Nothing wrong with this, but there is, and I'm about to unveil it to you. John is my LO. He is working with the Drapers. We're buying a house. My wife, whether right or wrong, has appointed me as the member of our family to handle most of the discussions. And so, John, you're going to call me, right? Once a week, twice a week. And you're going to say, hey, bro, just wanted to give you an update. Here's where we're at. Here's the document we're still waiting on. Here's when the closing date is. And now, let me tell you guys why this is such a bad idea and how it's hurting your relationships. Because John's going to call me. We're going to have a 20-minute call. I'm going to get home, and I'm going to go, hey, honey, guess what? John called. And she's going to say, what'd he say? To which I'm going to say, he said, we're good. We're closing on the 11th. Well, what else did he say? I mean, that's basically what he said. Well, what do you need to know anything else for? We're good. We're closing on the 11th. Well, how long did y'all talk? I don't know, like 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, all he said was that you're good and you're closing on the, well, no, we talked about other stuff. Well, what did he say? Do you see what I'm perpetuating?
Yep.
John, you could end up looking like a moron to my wife, and it's my fault because you're trusting me to take your thoughtful communication and then go regurgitate it to my family. And so where daily video, I believe, gets the most powerful is when instead of a phone call, you record a video where you're like, what's up, Drapers? Harrison, Everly, Ruby, hey, Lana. Here's an update on where we're at with the house. And now I get to walk in my front door and show my family that video. And so now my wife gets to feel as much a part of the process as I do. And doesn't my wife know people that I don't know? Doesn't every spouse know people that the other spouse doesn't know? Wouldn't you like to get referrals from the other spouse as well? They're never going to give you one if they were never a part of the communication process. And so, guys, when I talk about daily video, what I'm talking about is look at your process of, I just met Kyle. Kyle closed on his house. How many points of communication are inside of that timeline? And how many of those communication points can we turn into videos? This is where the power's at. And John, if you'll just watch the questions and
I got a couple.
and then we'll answer those for like the last 20 minutes.
Yep, I got you.
Daily video ignites your referral opportunities. I just did a webinar yesterday or 2 days ago. And I did it with a CEO of a big company. We'd never met in person, but we saw each other speak at an event. And so afterwards, I send him a video on Instagram, and he responds with, I don't know how to do this, but this is so cool, man. I can't wait to talk to you more. And so now I've already got to teach him how to use video in Messenger on Instagram. And we're having a call next week about multiple opportunities that he wants to run by me. This is how we win. And some of his comments were like, man, I love your background. Thank you for sending a video. People are blown away when we send them one-to-one videos. They're unbelievable. We could do a whole webinar just about this.
I think so.
Which maybe will come in first quarter of next year. Brought to you by Service First.
I would love to.
Guys,
I believe in this.
You said, what'd you say?
I believe in this big. People that know me
It's
know
huge,
I
man.
do a personal video.
It's huge. It is huge. Guys, we also, and this shouldn't even have to be said, but we got to love people. We have to love people. People are painful. People are frustrating. If y'all were on here at the very beginning, I was venting my frustration at people that said, we did it. We won the World Series. And I want to be like, really? You won the World Series? You've never been to a Rangers game in your life. And John was like, man, who cares? And it was a moment for me to go, you know what? There's a little sliver of area where I just need to love people better and quit being frustrated, right? It's stupid. Love people. We've got to. And I love this quote by Bob Goff. If you guys don't know who Bob Goff is, he's an unbelievable author. And so go look him up. But he says most people need love and acceptance a lot more than they need advice. What if we just use social media to serve people first and business came second? Guys, my mission in life, the mission that God gave me when I was 21 years old is to leave people better than I found them. That's my mission in life. And so whether that means we get to be friends for a long time, or whether that means I held the door open for you at 7-Eleven and smiled, because most people don't. I want people that come through my path to be better because of it. That's my life's mission. And so social media is my greatest platform to just love and serve people. And then great things spring up from it. But if you try to show up on social media and make it all about yourself, it doesn't work. And you'll get burnt out incredibly fast because it's exhausting. Mm-hmm. And so we've got to do this better. And to do this better, you have to accept your issues. So can I be so bold to just say, you suck? And guess what? So do I. We're jacked up human beings. We were born with a sin nature inside of us. I didn't have to teach my 3-year-old when they were 3 and my future child that's 5 months when she's 3 to lie about the Cheeto dust all over her face and go, no, Daddy, I didn't eat Cheetos. We don't have to teach ourselves to do that. We were born crappy. And so we've got issues. We all do. Some are physical, some are emotional, some are spiritual, some are psychological. But the reality is we all have struggles, and there is no amount of therapy, there is no amount of liposuction that will get you to a place where you are the perfect version of yourself without any flaws or struggles. So get over it, right? Because John could probably say, would he like to have more hair on his head? Maybe, but he doesn't.
Yep.
Would I like to be less fat? Yes. And I'm working on it, but it's never as fast as I want it to be. Right? Like, so we all have these things that we want to be more of or different, but we can't wait for them to be different before we start showing up for people. And so you want to relate to no one? pretend to be perfect. So many people in our industry that I watch, the only time they show up on social media is when they've won something. It's when they're dressed to the nines. It's when they get announced as like top 3 in their office. Why are we only showing up in our mountaintop moments? Because those moments aren't near as relatable as when we're in the valley or when we're telling our valley stories of when we were struggling and then this happened. We got to change the way we do this. It's hurting our ability to show up. And a big part of this is if we can figure out how to actually listen to people. The problem many of us have, myself included, is the longer we've been an expert, the less we have to listen to people. John, you've done so many loans in your over the course of your career, and then who knows how many other countless loans you've coached others through.
Yep.
There's not a story out there that you haven't heard. So if you weren't careful, you could hear somebody talking in 3 minutes. You're like, I know what loan you need.
Yep.
But they're not done talking. And so the problem is when we start to go in our heads, right? Are you done? 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 Gosh, if you would just be done. I've got the solution. I'm ready to give it. And we stop listening to people. Because think about as a mortgage person, as a realtor, whatever you do, insurance agent, title rep, you are asked questions all day. All day, you get asked questions. And then you show up to an event with me and you go, I don't know what to talk about. When you're asked questions all day, but because you're not actually listening, you're not paying attention, and you get home that day and still think, well, what am I going to talk about on social media? I don't know. What about if you do a video of one of the 100 questions you got asked?
Mm-hmm.
We don't listen. And I love this quote by Laurie Buchanan. When we listen, we hear someone into existence. I love to randomly check in with people based on tiny details that came up in our conversation. Because then when I say, hey, you mentioned that your son was having surgery. How did it go? They think, oh my gosh, thank you for caring so much. That was such a small part of our conversation, but you remembered. When we listen, we hear someone into existence. Guys, it's unbelievable. This is the power that we have with people. People are giving you their life stories every day, and you just continue to make it about the loan. You just continue to make it about the house. Instead of being intentional, remembering the details, and then speaking life into those details when you get those chances. This is how we create lifelong clients. This is how we create people that want to see us win. It's a game changer. And so the last thing I want us to think about as we kind of wrap this up is The Rock. Not really The Rock, but I have a parasocial relationship with The Rock. I've seen every single one of his wrestling matches. I watch him on his shows, his movies. If he's hosting SNL, I'm watching it 3 times. I love him. And if he and I ever shared a room together, I would jump into his arms because I believe he could catch me, because I'm a large person. Nobody's ever caught me in their arms before. And I believe The Rock could be the guy to do it. And here's what a parasocial relationship is. I am emotionally invested in The Rock, but he doesn't know who I am. That is a parasocial relationship. Before video and social media, the only people that could have parasocial relationships were famous people. The men and women we watch in movies, on talk shows, comedians, right? And we've all had our favorites of any of those things. And so we are emotionally invested, but they don't know that Kyle Draper is a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, don't miss this. You have the ability to have parasocial relationships with the men and women that live in your neighborhoods, that go to your schools, that live in your city, that y'all go to the same Target. If you would just show up on video a little bit more, you will be a walking celebrity in your city. You'll never have 10,000 followers. You'll never be famous the way we talk about it on the internet, but you will be as famous as you need to be for your business to double, triple, quadruple, because you're simply putting yourself in front of the people that already know, like, and trust you. This is the power of rethinking everything we know about social media. And guys, as we wrap this up, and then we just do Q&A for the last 17 minutes, for the first time, I'm launching what I'm calling my 90-day social media boot camp, where we will deep dive through Rethink Everything and spend 90 days looking deep into your social media, getting you where you need to go. This is going to launch in January, but I'm filling seats for it right now. And so if you choose to, when you scan this code, it will show you that you can reserve your seat for Rethink Everything 90-day boot camp. And it's normally going to be $1,500, but there's a code on there where you can get it for half off. And so if you're on here and you know that this is your weak point, social media has never been a strong suit for you, you need a guide, you need help, this is going to be a game changer for you. So reserve your seat. If you've got more questions about it before you want to sign up, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you. But this is where there's so much opportunity for you to win for the rest of this year and moving forward into 2024. And so, guys, if I can serve you in any way, let's connect on social media. I'm Coach Kyle Draper. You can email me directly at kyle@kyledraper.com. If you don't have the book, go get the book. It's short, it's simple, it has pictures, and it'll change your life if you choose to let it. And so, John, man, it's an honor to get to be on with your people. And let's do some Q&A if we've got any.
I think it's great. If you guys have questions, post your questions in here. We have a couple that some people have asked. One comment real quick from Scott Valenti says, people are afraid to start making video because they feel they aren't polished. On page 41 of your book, you speak to being imperfect, and that makes you more relatable.
That's right.
I think it's a great point.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we've been taught in the business world, right, to always look our best, to always, like, that's how we would show up to a meeting. But over the years, that's evolved, but then COVID flipped it on its head.
Yep.
Right? Like, it has just totally changed. Like, I've had meetings with my baby in my arms.
Yep.
Because my wife had to run something to the school, and I'm working in my home office, and all of a sudden, like, and nobody's like, that's unprofessional, man. We're probably not going to work together. It actually works in my favor.
Yeah. People relate.
Because we start talking about both being dads. And, you know, and so the people that are struggling the most are the ones that are waiting to feel perfect and polished.
I had a person that works here in operations tell me the other day that when I started doing video 10 years ago, I sucked so bad and that I would freeze and I'd be monotone. And I was just terrible at it. And she's like, you're like you now. She's like, you just that comfortable and you're like you now, so much better. But the thing is, you got to start. When you were talking, the thing I think about with people is if they finally take that step and they make their first post, and it's not going to be great, they're going to sit there and see what happens, and they're going to value those comments and likes more than they ever should.
Right.
I was just thinking about that. Like, man, people
100%.
don't value that. They just can't use that as the guide to determine if they should do it again, you know?
Dude, my senior year in high school, I tore my rotator cuff during a football game. And my right rotator cuff, I'm right-handed. So I've had surgery on it. Now I have all the scar tissue and arthritis. And so I can't throw with my right arm anymore. So when I was 19 years old, I started learning how to throw a football left-handed, how to throw a baseball left-handed, how to shoot baskets left-handed. And so I can go to the gym and show up and people are like, I didn't know you were left-handed. Like, that's how natural it looks.
Mm.
And I'm not left-handed. I sucked long enough to suck less.
Yep.
And I didn't go buy a video series that was like how to be a great left-handed thrower. It's just repetition.
Yeah, you just had to do it.
You wouldn't have been better at video by just buying a course.
Right.
You needed to put in the work.
So
and
true.
It took years to get there. And that's everybody's journey. And so it's huge, man.
I know this is off topic, but you know who's not a left-handed person that's a golfer?
Phil Mickelson.
Yeah. Did you know
Yeah,
that?
he mirrored his dad, right?
Exactly. That's like what's coming to my mind as you're saying that. So that's pretty awesome.
Huge.
So one of the questions that came up here is, are you doing this in form of video text? Yes.
So I will say it depends. I can only speak to being an iPhone user. If you're sending video to other iPhone users, it's brilliant because you can send bigger files that way. And so it's incredible. If I realize that, oh, you're a green text box, then typically I'm going to use like BombBomb or Co-Video, or I'm going to use DMs. And so if we're friends on Facebook, if we follow each other on Instagram, then I can send that video directly through DMs. And then John, bonus, their posts will show up to me more often, and my posts will show up to them more often if we're communicating in the DMs.
That's good.
So even more powerful.
Great answer.
Than if we were just texting.
That's right. There's a very technical question on here. Do you think we should only have a personal Facebook page or business and personal?
It's great question. So I wish the answer was as simple as the question.
I know.
Guys, on every other platform, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, you should only have one account for all of those channels. But Facebook, Facebook, it is the one place where we have to have both because Facebook created it that way. So you're going to want a personal page and a business page on Facebook, but I'd spend 90% of your effort on your personal page. I'd post once to twice a week on your business page, just so that your last post wasn't like Happy Easter and it's November. And people are like, oh gosh, John hasn't posted here in 9 months. Did he retire? So keep it active enough to feel active, get reviews there because that's the only place on Facebook that people can review you. But spend most of your effort serving people through your personal page, educating on your industry through your personal page. And to me, that's how you're going to win more often than not.
Yep. It's a good answer. I don't know if you want to snag this one, but it says, as a woman, I can't throw on a black tee and a hat and do a video. Women are held to different standards. We have to be in full makeup, hair, etc. Yeah.
So I am not a woman. So
right.
Just so that everybody, if you weren't sure, and you're like, I can't tell, I'm not, spoiler alert. But I will say this. So yes, I cannot relate. John, you can't, like, there at some level, yes, you're right. I can show up, put a hat on, but here's, Becky, what I will say. I do plenty of videos like this. Because when the environment is right, where you can do a video as a woman with a black tee and a hat on, is when you're walking, right? Like if you take a morning walk every day where you're gonna get sweaty, right? It's the first thing you do. You should be creating content while you're on your walk, because that gives people a glimpse into who you are as a human being. And that is going to be so much more powerful than you only showing up once you've put yourself on and gotten into your business environment. And so, yes, y'all have it much harder. That is a fact. But I watch plenty of women out there that do videos without makeup on, right? Having a bad hair day. And here's what they all have in common. They have the ability to be self-deprecating with their humor. And if we can be self-deprecating, like, guys, I have a red mole right here on my nose. and most people don't see it ever. I see it every day. And I'll even sometimes, I'm gonna do it right now. I'll be like, can y'all see this? Holy cow, it's huge. And all that does is humanizes me to people, right? It allows people to go, dude, freaking Kyle, man, he's hilarious. He'll do anything. He's always going to do something stupid. And it allows me to be memorable to people. So if we can be self-deprecating and we don't have to be perfect and the expert all the time, it's going to help those black shirt and hat moments happen more often.
Yep. That's good. Here's a question. Do you feel people want to say everything in a single video? Wouldn't breaking up the content be a more strategic way to go? Perhaps series or something. Yeah.
100%. You know, Scott, there's so many ways to do this, right? Like, we all know people that they literally do nothing other than 30-second videos and they do well. I'm more of a fan of creating long form content for YouTube and then breaking that down into smaller clips, right? So you could do one video for YouTube, but it breaks up into 5 parts for you know, TikToks, Reels, etc. But the less you say, how do I say this? The less you say that matters, the better, right? We do have short attention spans. So, you know, we shouldn't always be trying to squeeze 5 tips into one video. If you could do one tip in 17 seconds, that 17-second video might perform incredibly well, as opposed to a 2.5-minute video with 5 tips in it. But it just depends. You know, if you're trying to explain a really difficult loan product, John, that could be an 8-minute video.
Right.
And that's still necessary because people need to understand it. But we just have to, you know, we have to understand like what platform we're using, where is this type of content going to work best, and, you know, and then do it appropriately.
You may do a 30-second video to drive you to the 8-minute YouTube video to really go deep on something, you know.
100%.
The other thing I've noticed lately, this has been a soapbox for me. Some people I really respect have not been using captions sometimes, and I'm like, you're missing out.
Right.
How much video is you do not hear the audio? It's like a majority, a lot of
80% of videos are watched without audio.
Yeah. You got to use captions.
Yep.
You got to. Let's see what else we got. Can you elaborate on becoming a celebrity in a customer's entire family? From a loan officer perspective, I think it's so powerful that video allows you to become like a celebrity with the entire family.
Yeah, I think, you know, so the way this would work is, depending the depth to which you learn about your clients, if you know their kids' names and you know what they like, you know, like you could shoot a video like I mentioned earlier where like you say, you know, what's up to the whole Draper family, and then you rattle off Harrison, Everly, Ruby, you know, can't wait for y'all to have a new house. Like, you're becoming maybe not celebrity to the family, but I'll tell you this, John, if that scenario played out for our family, my almost 9-year-old daughter, when she goes to school and tells her friends that they got a new house, and her friend says, oh, how'd you do that? She's going to say, oh, my Uncle John helped us.
Yep.
Because that's how well she has the chance to know you. If we create content correctly with all those different touch points.
I think that's great. I have a personal question that I never asked you before, but I've been thinking about this. Do you always wear a black shirt?
Is this coming from you?
Yeah, I'm asking.
I was
I'm
like,
like,
where is
I'm-
this question? I
I'm
don't see
asking
that.
you because I
in
never
there.
even thought about this until we started talking about dressing and stuff. I'm like, dude, every time I've seen you have a black shirt on. Is that by
So
design?
I have like for multiple reasons, like I decided to simplify my speaking wardrobe.
Yep.
And so I wear a black t-shirt and black jeans everywhere I speak. Sometimes I'll dress up and down based on the shoes I wear. Because it's just simpler, but it also makes a fat guy look skinnier.
Yeah.
And
Fine.
so I typically when I'm on Zoom, I could have any colored shirt on or a dress shirt on, but when I speak, it's always this. This morning I just happened to have this on because I haven't my World Series t-shirt hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah, I know exactly.
But you might see me in that t-shirt for the next year every time I'm on Zoom.
That's great. Me too. I think I never would have thought about this question if it wasn't for some of these things we're talking about. So here's one more thing before we wrap up. They said, can you go a little deeper? You know, what are the details of the 90-day challenge? Like what happens?
So in the 90-day challenge, we're going to spend a ton of time focusing just on video. And so we're going to be doing video every single day. We're going to be sending videos to one another, like just helping you overcome at a faster rate that fear of getting in front of the camera. We're going to do audits on all your social media and make sure that you're maximizing all the different spots on our socials that are billboards for us, that we're taking advantage of the things in the platforms that most people may not even be aware of. We're going to lay out a calendar for your content so that you know exactly what you need to be talking about for the next 90 days, the next 180 days. We're going to be going through different apps and tech that you should be leveraging. I mean, and so much more. It's a steroid shot that's going to get you where it would normally take you probably a year or 3 years. And we're going to cram it into 90 days. So it will be intense. It will not be for the faint of heart. I'll tell you that right now.
That's right. Looks like you can get your World Series shirt at Academy. People have already started buying them.
Yes.
Yes,
All
go
right.
Rangers. That's awesome.
I'll be there in the next 2 days.
Somebody said that they wear a Cowboys jersey to open houses to break the ice.
And that I love it.
I think it's great.
So good. I would, guys, this is why I design my cubbies this way. Right? Like my cubbies tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite books, my favorite sports, things that my kids have made. Like my daughter and I are obsessed with sharks. And so I've got like Jaws, up here in one of my cubbies. And all the time people are like, oh, what's that? Oh, who's that? Create opportunities for people to see something outside of what they're expecting.
That's right.
It's powerful.
I love it. Well, we hit the hour. I appreciate you jumping on here.
Thanks for having me, bro.
This was great. We got some great comments. I'm getting some text messages. Everything in feed is great. Last plug. You guys can see us again at the big event, thebigevent2024.com.
Come on.
Check that out. And if you have questions about that, let us know. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you. And
appreciate you too, man.
All right. Take care.
Bye, guys.